Well, well, well. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've just been trying to figure out what the hell to do with myself this whole time. And serving in the military was always something that I was going to do. It was just, I think the reason why is probably because I grew up with Star Trek and I thought that service above self was an important value. And I, hang on a second. Huh? What? I'm already on. I'm already on. Yeah, I'm already on, baby. I just want you to know that. I'm already on. Yeah, they're fine. They're all good. They're fine. They have food and water. Gotta make sure the boys have their foods and the waters. Let's see. Yeah, there's no one here, but that's okay. There's always somebody here. And that's kind of like the purpose of this, is just so that people can like understand what is happening in my brain, because people look at me and they go, what the hell is wrong with her? And it's like, well, there's a lot going on in this brain. You know, we often sort of paddle around life like ducks, and we don't stop to think about like what that could look like to other people. But my whole life have been, you know, I grew up, so today is Easter, right? And this is about rebirth and the rebirth of the Savior and all of that. And I just, you know, my father was raised Catholic, and then his Catholic, very pro-life Catholic family abandoned him, essentially. And so, I mean, his mom died when he was 2. His dad, he says, abandoned him shortly, you know, after. And his grandparents raised him, or great-grandparents raised him. And like, he had some spinster aunt, and he grew up in Chicago, south side of Chicago, and he saw a guy get like shot to death in front of like a smoke shop or something, a liquor store. So my parents have been through a lot of trauma, and we've talked to my fiance and I talk a lot about like this whole, everybody seems to be coming to understand this idea of this generational trauma. Hello, 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 welcome, thank you. I was just gonna talk a little bit about, you know, my service in the Army, and my struggle right now is it's to say that to serve in the Army is to say, I believe in what the Army sets out to accomplish in the world. And so for me, I grew up with Star Trek. My dad drove the bus. It was a Teamster. My father was a Teamster in Orange County. He's from the south side of Chicago, and he was basically orphaned pretty much. And so, you know, Army. I was in the Army. My brother was in the Navy. And then my dad actually didn't go to Vietnam. He went before the draft board as a conscientious objector and refused to ever raise arms against another human being. So it so my grandfather, he died of a heart attack at 43. He was a plumber, and his my mom's maternal grandfather, so my maternal great grandfather, so my mom's grandfather, served in the Army toward the end of World War II in the Battle of the Bulge. And it was I mean, enormously traumatic. He didn't really talk about it. My grandmother describes my great grandfather, his name was Frank, Franklin Arthur Stern, and his line is all connected back to Elizabeth I. The favorite cousin of Elizabeth I is one of my ancestors. So there's this long line of like military traditions in my family, and I remember my grandmother showing me my great grandfather's Purple Heart, and I thought to myself, wow, what a hero. And even though he wasn't quite as warm, I mean, obviously he'd been traumatized, but nobody in those days in the 50s and 60s was talking about what had happened during the war, really. At that time, everybody wanted to return to normalcy. And it was men like Henry Ford who helped to shape what normal would look like, and the 40-hour work week and all of that. So that kind of gave men and women like these binary roles to to fill in society. But now we're at a place where like that idea of honoring veterans and honoring the ability to say, I would give my life for you, even though I don't know you, even though you and I may not share the same religious beliefs, or I'm gay and you're straight, or you're trans and I'm not, or you're poly and I'm monogamous. Like, we could still put on a uniform and stand shoulder to shoulder with each other and still serve in combat and still serve our country together. And so that was sort of like what I thought I was doing, because I'd been raised with Star Trek. And so I had these conflicting messages of utopia versus like what the real world is. And when you go into the military, it's just not what you expect. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And that doesn't mean that people who serve in the military shouldn't serve in the military. It's just a matter of understanding what you're doing. And you're saying that I'm prepared to give my life for any other American citizen or anybody who comes here and wants to be American. That there's a value and an ideal here that we represent. And so we go to basic training, and in basic training, you're drilled on the soldier's creed. You have to memorize this thing called the soldier's creed, and it's a statement of values that says that I am an American soldier, I am a warrior and a member of a team. I will always place the mission first. I stand ready to defend my country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. When you say that, that means that you have to turn to your neighbors and say, it doesn't matter where you're from. We're in this fight together. And that's what that means, that selfless service and integrity. And we were held to that every single day I was in the military. I was held to the standard of integrity. What you do when no one is watching it should be the same as what you do when people are. And honesty and all of that. And so accountability is really important to people like me who've been in the military. At least it is to me. And I know that integrity wasn't important to people I served with in the Army, because there were people in the Army who were trying to cheat and trying to get away with things and trying to screw the government and then trying to screw each other over all the time. And there were people who were looking forward to the opportunity to kill other human beings and all of that. So there's all kinds of different people who come together and put that uniform on, and they all have different reasons. But at the end of the day, when you sign that contract, you are signing and swearing this oath. And the oath is not about you or me or any one person. Our oath is actually sworn, our loyalty is to the Constitution, not to the president. Even though the president is designated as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States, that doesn't mean that the president is infallible. The president can make glaring errors in judgment, and we've seen that repeatedly. And so we need to honor our veterans, and we need to make sure that the systems that are put in place to thank us for our service. When you say thank you for your service, I mean, it's appreciated, of course, but I didn't do this to be thanked. I didn't join the military so that people would thank me or so that I could get a free, plate at Applebee's. I joined the military because I believed in selfless service, and I believed in trying to help. And I thought we were peacekeepers in the world, I thought that's what we were doing. So when the Florida Department of Education says, hey, there's a program here that you can apply for, there's a program in Florida for veterans to apply for a military certification fee waiver code, is what it is. It's a fee waiver for all of your exams, and teacher exams, and all of that good stuff. So like, I want to be a sped teacher, and I want to register for all my exams, but the exams cost $150 a piece. So these exams are expensive. And teachers, I don't have the money for that. So I went to a friend, and my mom had been through this program at UWF here in Florida, or over in Florida. And they said, we have a benefit for you as a veteran that you won't have to pay for any of your exams or your certification application. Cool. So I log in and I apply for this, and they say, okay, we need your documentation, we need your DD Form 214 or some sort of proof that you were in the military and you were discharged honorably, which, okay, got that, no problem. So I pull up my DD 214 and I look at it and I go, well, this says worksheet copy. I mean, this isn't my original member 4 copy. And I'm thinking, what happened to my member 4 copy of my DD 214? Well, okay, so I give it some thought, and I thought, well, what happened? So I go back in my memory banks and I go, well, when I got out of the military, I sat for several different exams for different like sheriff's departments. I sat for the Border Patrol. I thought I think I just accidentally gave my original member 4 to like either the Riverside or San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office when I sat for their exam, or for Border Patrol or something. Because all I have right now is like this worksheet copy. And I'm like, this is weird. I mean, I remember the day that I sat in the office when they discharged me, when they were working up the separation paperwork for me. when I was being separated from the military, the civilian at the desk was like, here you go. And here's your DD Form 214. And this is your golden ticket to claim all of your benefits. So I walk out of there. And the first thing I did was I went and tried to sit for the Border Patrol exam, or I tried to sit for the Sheriff's Department. And I tried to put this application in, and I submitted my form. And I think that's what happened. I think I just accidentally gave the original copy away to the Sheriff's Department or the DHS or whoever the job was for. So now I have to go back to the Army and say, hey, I need a copy of my DD Form 214. Can you help? Because this form proves that I served in the military, and it also shows that I served honorably. And so that's really key. That's really key. So to get these benefits, right, you have to show this proof. So I go in there and I request, they tell me, since you're a veteran, you go to the VA for these things, right? The Veterans Administration. So I go to the VA. I request my records. I can't find it anywhere. The VA provides me with like a service letter, a statement of service. It's supposed to be a proof letter. It has the VA's letterhead on it, and I got it from the VA app. I verified my identification using my military ID, my veteran's ID, which it's unfortunately expired now. But of course it was rejected. So then I had to explain, well, now I don't know if I even have the original copy. They said, do you have your member 4 copy of this form? And I'm like, no. So, okay, so no problem. Go to the VA. And so they gave me the statement of proof of service. And so I submitted that to Florida Department of Ed, to their military certification email inbox, which there's only one. It's like troops teaching for FL@fldoe.gov. I think that's the email address. So I'm just trying to get this done. And I've been here for 4 months, just trying to get my exams scheduled for my teaching credential program. I am just trying to get my SPED credential. My mom already went through this program. She said, it's going to be pretty quick. And so, but it's worth it to go through the process and navigate the system to get this waiver code, because that's going to save you like $500, because each exam, each Florida subject area exam costs $150. And then there's the actual certification application fee, which is another like $100 or something dollars. So there's a cost associated with every step in the process of becoming a teacher. And you guys have told me, like, I have access to this free resource, and it's a thank you for your service benefit for me. It's not like an entitlement that I didn't, earn or anything. I served my country, and now I'm just asking you to show up for me, and I need to get this code so I can register for my exam so I can be a teacher. I just want to teach SPED. That's all I want to do with my life, is teach SPED and drama and make art and teach. And this is the only way I can do it. I can only afford to do it if the people who say that they claim to support veterans and have put these systems in place for us to access and use stand by that promise and at least answer the emails. At least put somebody there to answer an email, or when you answer the call that comes through the line saying, hey, I'm trying to get this fee waiver code, your email says there's a code I should get. If it doesn't show up in the system within 2 business days, there's something wrong. Obviously, there must be something wrong. Contact us. And you have this phone number. And so I call the phone number and I get a hold of somebody. And that person's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. That's not my department. I can't help you. You're going to have to email them. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the email address? And of course, the email address is the same email address I've already been provided and I've already been using, but have been receiving no response. Now, these emails aren't harassing anybody. They're not threatening anybody. They're not angry. I'm not taking my frustration out on people right now, at least not in that way. I am frustrated, but it's like, this is a righteous anger because you promised me something. And every time you say thank you, but then it's like dangling a carrot. It's like, what is it all for? What was it all for then? Right? Yeah. Fuck me for actually asking for the thing that you said I was entitled to because I served my country. Where is the accountability? Where is the integrity? Where is the doing the right thing? Is somebody on the phone saying, you know what, I'm not sure what's going on, but you know what, if you give me a few minutes here, I can at least see if I can point you in the right direction with another human being, instead of dumping me back at the same square one where I'm butting my head up against a wall with this whole email us. Okay, so I emailed you, but no one answers me. And you know what? I know what's going to happen. Eventually, we'll get to the place where somebody's like, okay, you're stuck. Well, yeah. Why haven't you completed your application UWF? We're still missing your application materials. You can't start your SPED program, at least not your first modules or anything like that, until we have at least proof that you've registered and applied for this stuff. Okay. No problem, Bob. I'm on it. I am doing it. I am doing all of the things that have been asked of me, and I am doing the high speed, high speed. And then I wait, I hurry up and I wait. And then I wait for the word and I wait for the word, as I've been trained to do, as a military soldier does. And they come back and they with nothing. It's like just being ghosted. You know, I would really, I have a greater respect for people who can at least say honestly, listen, I can't help you, but I recognize that you are in need of help. And so even though I may not be the one, I'm going to help you find the right person. And we're going to resolve this together. And you're going to get that code and you're going to get registered and scheduled for your exams. And you're going to start your SPED program at UWF and you're going to be a teacher. That's going to happen. We're going to make that happen, okay? It starts with these little micro actions, because for somebody like me with schizophrenia and ADHD and complex PTSD, the why and the who and the rejection sensitive dysphoria and all of that, like the sensitivity is at max, is at fever pitch, because it's like you guys have we spend so much time as a job seeker and as a uh, somebody who just wants to make a difference in the lives of young people, and by giving them the tools they need to succeed in the real world. That's all I want to do with my life. All I want to do is be a teacher, and this is the veterans program that's supposed to be free and accessible and easy, and just send your form and bing, waiver code, register for your exams registered for, achievement unlocked, and then you're on your way to like starting my UWF teacher program so I can be a SPED teacher, so I can help kids with autism. Because the kids with autism who are already here, the thing is, like, they're not going away. You can't get rid of them. They exist in the world. God made them too. So they are here. They are not going anywhere, and they deserve our quality education. They deserve people who are kind of come along inside them, and instead of mourning and grieving what they don't have, give them what they need to succeed instead. Help us to see the world maybe through their eyes, just like I'm asking you to see through the eyes of a military veteran who's just asking for a waiver code for her exams so that she doesn't have to pay $150 a piece for them. You know, what is it about? What are we here for? What is it all for? It doesn't make sense. There is this just idea that, like, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And it's like, what does it mean? What does thanking somebody look like? Because to me, it looks like showing up for them when they ask for help. I will never leave a fallen comrade. That's the soldier's creed. I will never leave a fallen comrade. And we are all comrades here in arms, or in unarmed comrades. You know, at least I'm unarmed, but I know many people who are not. But there are more guns in this country than there are people. So I don't know. I mean, where do you go from here when we say, you did this thing that only 1% of the population has ever done in this country? Only 1% of the population has ever served in the military. Only 1%, less than around 1% of the American population serves in the military. That's so it means it's rare. It's rare, and even though we all know seem to know somebody, or somebody in our family served, or like my great grandfather, like I said, served in World War II at the Battle of the Bulge, and received a Purple Heart for his injuries during that action, and that was all honorable. And we just come home and we try to, like a rubber band, snap back to like what you all consider to be normal. It's not so easy to do. And the thing is, like, especially when normal would be like, okay, I'm back from the military. I'm going to do what I've always set out to do with my life, with my military benefits, is to just go to school and be a teacher. And even the education systems which preach and teach growth mindset and inclusivity and teach all of this, but it's all hypocritical, because when at the end of the day, when you see a human being who is an adult in distress, you look at them like, what the hell is wrong with you? Instead of, how can I help you? You know, and that's kind of like how we're starting to look at children. And I think that needs to change. You know, we can't just look at them like, oh no, what is this thing taken away from us? I'm grieving my loss of, my child's future, and all my hopes and dreams for my child. Was like, what were you making your child for? What was the purpose of creating life? Was to just create them in your own image and play God? Isn't that playing God? Like, I don't understand that. Make it make sense. As somebody who was raised by Pentecostal Christians, like, I need to understand what, especially because there's a lot of there's a conflation a lot between people who like thank you me for my service, and those same people who are just coming out of the blue to just walk up to thank me. They're the ones wearing the hats and waving the flags around who never served, or if they did, they come away with it having confirmed their own biases that they already had before they went into the military to begin with, especially the socialization and the signals and messages they received from their upbringing, their parents, depending on where they live, where they raised, how much money they had growing up, whether they had affection, love, whether there were complications during their mother's pregnancy. I mean, all of these things go into how and who we become and how we turn out. And so it's just a question of who are we and what does it mean to thank somebody? And so I'm just here, like, I'm just an Army veteran standing in front of like this bureaucratic form, asking for you to give me the waiver code. It's been 4 months already. Just give me the fucking code and I will go away. Give me what I want and I will go away. That's the thing. That's the crux of it. Hello. Come out of the military after it fucks you up. I was already fucked up. Then I went in the military. That fucked me up worse. And I just found this very disturbing new research that says that 9 people out of 10 people like me who have schizophrenia, we have a history of childhood trauma. 90%, almost 90% of people who have been diagnosed with schizophrenia have a history of childhood trauma. And I certainly did. In fact, I was diagnosed with general anxiety at 15 and 16 because my mom stopped talking to me. And actually, that was after it was just a whole long, hairy story. If you really want to get into all of that, like that's what I'm here for. I'm just here to call it out. Like I'm here to say the things that nobody will say. But I can see it in your eyes. We're all thinking it. When your eyes are shifting away and you're like, we all feel this frustration. We feel the frustration as having gone through the process of sacrificing and serving for our country, and then we come out and we just ask for the thing that you said we earned. You said we earned it. It's not an entitlement. I didn't, I'm not putting my hand out for something I didn't already earn. The military service is that proof of my commitment to honoring the Army values. The Army drills it into you. You're brainwashed from day one. The Army values and the soldier's creed. Army values: leadership, loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And it takes great personal courage to sit here in a live public space and say that this system is not working for veterans. These systems don't work. By and large, whenever I actually try to go and access anything I might actually need from the military or from the Veterans Administration, I can't just get it. It takes multiple steps, multiple approval steps, or there's a snafu with the website or with the application or the upload portal or whatever it is, or something was wrong, or they don't accept this document, or I need to prove this. And so I do, and I go through the promotions and I do my part, and then somebody else drops the ball or the call gets dropped. And that happens a lot with these systems. Is like we're on the phone and you're thinking, well, how has it been 4 months that you've been trying to get this military waiver for your teaching exams, right? And yeah, I've been doing this for just waiting for somebody to be like, hey, here it is. Here's your code. Go register, be free. I don't want to have to be bothered. Do you think I enjoy having to fucking email people 2-3 times in a month to ask them for help on something? I'm not slamming them with 50 emails every hour. I'm emailing them like a normal human being should, once a week or once every 2 weeks or once every 5 or 6 days, just to get help, because there's no IT portal, there's no person, there's no human being anymore now to where who can override these systems and say, hey, look, I'm here to fix the problem. I got your back. I got your 6th battle. Got your 6th battle, buddy. Something we say in the Army all the time when you want to let somebody know you have their back, their literal back. It means that I am there and I'm not going to let you fall behind. No one left behind, right? I will never leave a fallen comrade. That was my promise. And I kept my promise to never leave behind a fallen comrade. I kept my promise to serve with honor and distinction. I showed up. I did that. And then they said, okay, well then thank you. And thank you for your service. And here's this free thing. And so I just try to go and access the free thing, and the free thing doesn't work. The portal doesn't work. The waiver code is invalid. The email address, it doesn't, there's nobody answering the emails. There's nobody, the person on the phone, on the other end of the phone doesn't seem to know what's going on. And that's not their department. And they're just here to like, once you've been approved, then come talk to us. Okay, I was approved. I have the email here saying, congratulations, you're approved. Woo! And I'm like, woo! So I was approved for my military waiver code, and I went to go get it, and it says, hey, if you don't get this code in 2 business days, call us. If there's definitely a problem. So this is the problem that Florida Department of Ed is aware of. They know that their military portal systems aren't working. And so they have a mechanism, a phone number you can call. And when you call the number, the person on the other end says, I don't handle this. This isn't my department. I don't know why they gave you that number. Email them and ask them for help. And so I did, and then nothing, no response. So of course I waited a few days, and I waited a week, and I thought, is it like California where there's 5 people who run this office, And if that's the case, then there's a problem with that. And therefore, that is why we're talking about like the red tape and the bureaucracy and the need to like want to downsize things. Well, yeah, I get it, but we have to like think smarter, not harder. We have to like, if we're going to make it smaller, at least make it sure that it's properly staffed and that the staff are able to answer these questions, and they don't know what to do to help me with the situation. So I'm dead in the water. I'm stuck. You have this person who's saying, I want to work for the state. I want to work for the community. I want to be here and serve. I just want to keep serving my community. All I want to do is keep serving my community as a teacher. That's all I want to do is serve, do the thing I've always done well, which is serve my community and meet the needs of the people around me wherever I am. That's my purpose in life, or that's my joie de vivre, is just to serve as a resource. And so when I see organizations failing to provide those resources that they promise, it's like, my question is, do you need help? And the answer is always yes. These bureaucracies need help. They need more staff. They need better pay. They need training. But there's too many people who believe that red tape is just is a non-starter. And I understand that, because there's too many steps in between. There's too many of these mini steps. And I get that we want to cut through that red tape, but we have to do it smartly. And think smarter, not harder is an Army thing. Army. Think smarter, not harder. Private. Like, attention to detail, private, attention to detail. And that's something that was drilled into us. The Army, the values, the soldier's creed. The soldier's creed. I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I will always place the mission first. I will never leave behind a fallen comrade. I mean, that's me. That's me. That's always been me. And I never stopped doing that. Even at great personal cost to my success rate, I guess, even in the world, because I hold people accountable. I hold myself accountable when I fail. I admit my mistakes. I say, I fucked up. I did the wrong thing. I don't know what I was thinking. I clearly wasn't thinking clearly. And so now what can I do to fix that? And how do I move forward and not make the same mistake that I know is going to harm another human being? I don't want to harm people. I'm here to help. That's why I serve my country, because I believed in selfless service. I believed in that principle. I still do. And I just, the hypocrisy of it all, the hypocrisy of everything we see, every message that is sent to us from every leader in our lives, in our world. I mean, the hypocrisy of it is just abominable. That is the deplorable, truth about all of it, is that you can serve and you can even get blown up, and you suffer your whole life, and there's this person out there who knows that you've done that, knows that you've been through that, and they understand, cognitively are aware of this, and they say they understand and they thank you, but they don't show up when it counts. But I was held to a standard of perfection, an impossible standard of a metric, which is amorphous and changes in accordance with who is in charge, and who is in charge changes in accordance with who is alive at that moment. And that could be anyone at any time. And that's the reality of the military experience. So I'm just going to continue to spit that raw truth and that radical honesty and say, yeah, I have made some big mistakes in my life. I have caused harm to other people, unintentionally, but I did, like that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't matter what you intended because the result was still harmful. And so you have to reckon with that, and you have to grapple with looking at yourself in the mirror and facing what you have done. And that shame never fully goes away, but you atone. I have found that atonement through meaningful action, restorative justice practices, doing the right thing at every possible opportunity to make up for the times when I didn't do the right thing or when I did let someone down. That's me trying to redeem myself in my own eyes. That's also in the eyes of the others I love and care about, who I've hurt but didn't mean to hurt, but still hurt anyway, and so still have to live with consequences of that. Integrity means admitting at fault, even when it's hard, even when no one else is willing to admit that they are wrong or that they did something that was harmful. I still have to be myself. I have to still be who I am. You can't ask me to be anything less than who I am, you know? And so thanks for coming to my TED Talk. That was 30 minutes. I don't know if I can go on about this much longer, but anyway, if you were here with me, even just for a few seconds or a moment to hear my plea for help, I really appreciate you. Please share if you want to know more, like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. Do that magical Lago thing you do. And just spread this to other people, because I just need to hear that I'm not alone. Like, I just need to know that I'm not the only veteran out here trying to get into this system and failing because the system itself is literally broken, and no one's helping. There's nobody, no human alive can answer this question. So I guess I've gone back to the UWF team, the Teacher Ready team, to see if there's anything they can do to help me. And I just want to say shout out to Dr. Sarah Miller. She's amazing. Her responsiveness and her attentiveness. She's not the person who can really help, but the fact that she's there, like, let's try this, try this, try this, like, let's keep working the system, or like I will advocate for you. That means the world to someone like me, who my whole life I've never really had true advocates. No one to stand up for me when I was unable to speak because of trauma responses, and now because of schizophrenia. Everything is just harder. There's no real difference other than my brain just processes information differently. And so I contend with stimuli that other people don't contend with. And you're dealing with things that I don't know about. And I may not have walked in your shoes, but I can still say, hey, look, that's not right that this is happening. We need to fix this. What can I do? What can I do to help? Now, I was raised to be that person, and I can never stop being that person. I'm here to help. I'm a servant leader, to serve my community wherever I am. That's why I became a teacher. And so I just want to add on, I'm just adding the SPED credential, the special education credential, so that I can further serve my community and help kids get the skills and then the what they need to succeed, what they need to live and pursue happiness and be their best selves. And yes, kids with special needs are always going to be part of our lived experience in the world. We might you might want to say that, like, we can eradicate this because it causes so much suffering, but at the same time, there's still so many people out there living fulfilled lives, beautiful human beings living with beautiful souls and experiencing the world, living independently, working jobs, and even becoming teachers and coming alongside as paraeducators in the classroom. People with special needs can do wonderful and great things, and often they do, and they shouldn't be discounted or undervalued. And so as a teacher, I just feel like it's my job to come alongside my community, now having been in the military and served my global community, my country, coming back to my local community here in Seattle and saying, what can I do? And this program is there to provide a resource for veterans like me to be able to access these systems for your low cost, for your no cost, because I served, and it's a thank you for your service. So here's this free waiver code to get these exams registered for, so you can, get your SPED credential, so you can be a teacher, so you can continue to serve. And that's all it's about. But There's no one there to answer the email. There's no one there to, the person who answers the call says email, and then you email, and then no one answers you. So I don't get answers. So then I start calling around, and people are like, well, stop calling us. It's like, I need an answer. Like, I'm dead in the water. 4 months I've been waiting to just start my teacher program for SPED, and I can't start without these exams. At least scheduling my Florida teacher exams, I need to at least schedule them, and I can't because I have to pay for them, and they're $150 a piece. There's $150 for the actual SPED exam. Then there's $150 for English because I want to get my English credentials for Florida State. I want to make sure that I have as much, I want to set myself up for success. And the market demands us to be well-rounded, and you have to throw yourself out there into every subject that you can possibly teach. You need to credential for everything. And so I need to make sure that I have this. And I can't move forward, and I can't serve my community until I register for these exams and start these modules. And I know I'm going to knock these modules out. I know that Dr. Sarah Miller is going to be there alongside me to advocate for and with me as we work through the UWF Teacher Ready program together. And I know I'm going to succeed because those people believe in me, and I know I'm capable of doing this. So let's work together. And the Florida Department of Education has set up the system for us military veterans to get these waiver codes so that we can register for these exams for $0, free, right? $150 a piece. And I need to register for 3 exams, plus I think the professional fitness exam, plus I think I need also the, I think I also need to do the actual application for just for the credential itself, which is another $100 or $150. So $150 for SPED, $150 for English, and there's 2 or 3 subtests. So we're talking like $500, $600, $750, and I haven't even like started a class yet for teaching. And I also have to get background checked. I have to clear all of that, and all of that costs money that I have to pay for up front. So they're saying that Florida says, here, thank you for your service. Here's this code. But they didn't send me the code, and now I'm stuck. I'm dead in the water. I can't register for my exams. I can't start the modules for Teacher Ready. And the only person who can help me isn't the person who can actually help me, but at least she's trying to show up in the way that Florida Department of Ed is not showing up, because they said, we know this problem exists. The email that I got that says I was approved for the waiver code for these exams for Florida, it says, you're approved, congratulations. Now you're supposed to get this code within 2 business days. And if you don't get the code within 2 business days, there's definitely something wrong. Call us at this number. And of course, I call them at the number. And as soon as I call them at the number, that person comes up on the line. They say, oh, hi, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't help you with that. That's not me. I'm just here to, once you've been approved, moved you forward in the process. Well, I haven't approved, and they said I have a code, but they also said there's a problem with not getting the code to call you guys because they know this is a problem. And so she said to me, well, I'd love to help you, but that's not my department. You should email them. And I was like, okay, great. What could you give me the email address? Sure thing. Here it is. Troops teaching for FL or something at fldoe.org or gov. So, okay, I check it against the email address I've been using and haven't been getting a response from. And I say, okay, well, I just emailed them a couple of times last month and haven't received any responses. What do I do now? And she's like, well, just try it again. Try it again. So I tried again. And now I spent the entire month of April, and today is Easter. And I am here on live asking for help to strangers on the internet, because nobody at the Florida Department of Education knows anything about their military certification fee waiver program. And there's nobody who can answer this question. And nobody can help me. So I'm stuck. So thanks for nothing, state of Florida. This is the things I get. What do I do? I'm just a girl standing in front of a bureaucratic entry field form thing, trying to register for my teacher exams with this waiver code that I was supposed to get for serving my country, that waives my fees, saves me money so I can get my career going, and can't do it because it doesn't work. Code invalid. Try my social. Try my ID number from my application ID number. Try the MFW. Try MCFW. I've tried every single thing I could think of. I am stuck, and I need help, and there's nobody out there except Dr. Sarah Miller. Bless her. So I'm going to, cling a little bit to Dr. Sarah Miller until I get what I need. And then once I have what I need, I will fuck right off and do my thing. And I'll leave you alone. The head hurting. The head hurts because we're going to, we're gonna cut out the bureaucracy and all the red tape, and we're gonna make it really easy for veterans. But I can't get into this thing. It's not working. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The system doesn't work. The code is invalid. The code is invalid. The code is invalid. The code is a lie. The thank you is a lie. It's empty. The thank you for your service thing, it's this performative bullshit that we're just saying words, and they have no meaning behind it. There's no soul behind the computer of an auto-generated email that says, don't forget to renew your membership. But when you ask them as a member for help with anything, no answer, no response. Come pay to show up, pay to play, pay to show up to our mixer, pay to network with people, pay to meet people, pay to talk to people. Time is money, pay to play, pay for everything. And then when we finally have something we say is free, it's not working properly, because I don't know if it's designed for the system not to work properly, or, it's designed to be this carrot that you dangle in front of me as a military veteran that I serve. I sacrifice. My knees are shot. I have bursitis in both my knees, and it's getting worse, and I'm 35. I joined the Army when I was 17. Yeah, you can do that. Did you know that? You can serve in the Army at 17 as long as you have permission from your parents. If your parents divorced, you need a signature from both your mom and your dad to let you join. I think it's that way if they're married either way. I don't know. Can't quite remember. My head's killing me. I'm prone to headaches because of the whole, anyway. But my knees are shot from overwork. So I'll go back to the VA and I will update my claim and I will go get them reevaluated, and we'll see what happens. It's just hard because I'm just like, you're a soldier, so you just soldier up, dude. You just keep going. You keep going until you really, literally cannot. Until your knees are literally shot. And you have to crawl. And that's what we're trained to do. Crawl. Fight to the last man, blood. What makes the green grass grow? Blood, blood, blood of the enemy, drill sergeant. It's a hell of a thing being in the military, being in the Army. Especially like being young in the Army, and you're thinking like I thought I was so old. By the time I was 17, I felt ancient because of everything my family had put me through already. The Army was like, you speak French? I was like, yeah, I do. Ooh, we need French linguists. We need French, I think, at the DLI. Cool. And I'm going to join the Army. That's the only thing I'm interested in doing for the Army is interpreting and translating. Like, well, don't worry, you're a woman. You'll get to see anything anyway because you're a woman and you can't serve in a combat role. And this is considered combat support. Like, pretty much everything that's not infantry is combat support, right? So, I don't know. It just seems like we don't have... I don't know. There's got to be somebody who sits around and thinks about ways to solve these problems for us so that we can actually get what we need and what we deserve because we earned it. I earned this. It's real. It's not a delusion. I served in the Army honorably. So the next time you say thank you for your service, I just ask you to give it some thought. What it really means. And if you don't mind, I'm going to hit this. I feel like standing even has just been I dread standing up. I dread sitting. I dread just about everything now because my knees are killing me. I have to stand up, and I don't want to. I'll be right back. Just gonna take a quick little break here, and in the meantime, I thought maybe I would show you. Yeah. So let me see if I can find it. What's this doing? Let's see. All right, I'll be right back. It's like people keep coming in and out, so I'm just like, keep going until I pause and there's nobody there. Okay, I'll fix it later. Okay. Okay, back. These are my, oh, hang on, I'm showing you. All right. So you'd be like, why is she just on there talking to nobody? There's nobody there. Why is she still going? Well, it's for the algorithm. Okay, duh. Don't you know that by now? This is YouTube, okay? So, me too, right now. So, yeah, so these are my dog tags. I went to Fort Leonard Wood for basic training. I was supposed to go to Fort Jackson, but my dad had a cancer scare about his kidney. He had a mass on his kidney, and so I was like, can I put this off? And I was in the debt because I was 17. I was 17 when I joined, and when you're 17, you have to have permission from your parents to join. And especially since both of my parents were, well, my parents were divorced. So I had to have both of my parents sign, because if my mom had just said yes and my dad had said no, or vice versa, could trigger some real major problems, because it's like a custody issue. I was still a minor when I signed my contract, so had to have permission from both of my parents. So yeah, so here are my. I don't want to show them too closely because they have my social security number on them and my blood type, which says A negative, which I didn't know. So these are my dog tags that I got in basic training. You get them in basic training generally. I served in 2007. I was 17 when I joined, and when you're 17, you have to have both your parents' permission to join. And so, yeah, I had grown up with Star Trek, and I don't know why I thought the military would be like as close to Star Trek as I was ever going to get them. Maybe I thought because a lot of astronauts and people who work for NASA were in the military, and like that's where they get a lot of that training and all that good stuff to prepare for like that kind of work later on. And being like in the Air Force is a really good place to start with that. So I guess, and it's one of very few places in the world where you can get into the cockpit of an F-16. And I wasn't in the Air Force. I was in the Army. My brother was in the Navy, and then I have a childhood friend who was in the Air Force. And lots of people I know. And then my great-grandfather fought in the Battle of the Bulge during World War II at Ardennes. So I had a military family history, or a history of family history of military service, even if it was brief. All of them were considered fairly brief, but Still no less honorable, no less significant, because my great grandfather was injured at the Battle of the Bulge and received a Purple Heart. So it wasn't like he was sitting in some office filing papers, but obviously we needed people to be filing the papers because those are the people who actually won the war, because it was all about the intelligence. Man, the intelligence is what won us the war. Our intel, our Navajo code talkers, our Tuskegee Airmen and all of that. So they really did a lot. And Battle of Bulge, if we hadn't won that battle, the Germans probably would have broken through and we might have lost. They would have made it through to Belgium, to Antwerp. So growing up and listening to the stories and seeing my great-grandfather's Purple Heart and his revolver, his service pistol and everything, I just felt like that's part of my story. And I wanted to, one, continue the tradition of, being a part of an organization that I believe was trying to set out to free people from oppression and not to further oppress them or persecute them. Because they kept telling me, well, the army and the military is about serving the country, not any one person. So it's about the Constitution. It's not about who the president is. And so you're supposed to, think about that when you're serving, because the president's the commander in chief of the armed forces. So, I grew up with Star Trek and ideals to strive for, but not reality. And I know that now, but you couldn't have told me that when I was 17, that I wasn't going to turn the world into Star Trek, like make the world like Star Trek, basically, like make Star Trek real, make Star Trek a real world, and stop making people look at me like I'm the crazy one for believing that such a thing could exist. So yeah, these are my... so the story here is, if you've never known anybody who's ever been in the military, now you do. But if you already know people, everybody has kind of a different story about their dog tags and how they get them and the circumstances in which they receive them. Generally, you receive them during in-processing, during 0 week at basic training. And so I went to Leonard Wood in the end, and not Fort Jackson. So that is one of 2 training facilities that were women training for the Army. And so I went to Fort Leonard Wood, which they affectionately call Fort Lost in the Woods. And we did all our orienteering and our bivouacking and everything like that out in the Missouri. Well, it was spring when I actually was there on Easter. Oh, that's so funny that I'm doing this on Easter Sunday. I didn't realize I was in basic training for the Army on Easter Sunday, and it was just 0 week, and that's where I got my dog tags. I remember sitting there thinking, there's half the auditorium was like crying. They're watching. They put on Band of Brothers. And it was Easter Sunday, 2009. And yeah, it was my first week of basic training. And I'd already done the medical moment of truth. We'd done all of the, I think we'd done all the inoculations. I ended up with like more shots than anybody else because, I guess because I didn't have some shots before. I didn't know that I still didn't ever have my chickenpox vaccine. So the Army had to vaccinate me for that, I guess. So yeah, I ended up with a lot more inoculations than other people in the Army got. But yeah, I was in the Army on Easter Sunday. I was in basic training. It was 0 week basic training at Fort Leonard Wood on Easter Sunday. And I was sitting there in the back row watching all these girls crying because they were homesick. And I'm like, we just got here. We just got here. We haven't even started training. We haven't gone down range yet. We're just getting our dog tags. Which they came in the room, our drill sergeants all came in the room. It's Easter Sunday. We were watching Band of Brothers, and the girls are just falling apart. They come in the room, they start yelling at everybody, here's your dog tags, come, and they start throwing dog tags at people. These little pieces of metal just start flying your way, and I just kept I had to go scramble and crawl to pick mine up off the floor, and that's means something. People are like, dog tags are identifiers, but you don't really understand what we mean when we say why it's called a dog tag. Is because first of all, you're supposed to wear this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You're never supposed to take them off because anything can happen to you at any time, anywhere. And in combat, even if you're not trying to be in combat because you're combat support, but you get called out on a convoy operation and you come under heavy fire, you get blown up, we can't recognize your face or readily identify you by even by your teeth, that's where these come into play. This is where it's for. It's for actually identifying like human remains, in case the person can't be like easily identified, even with like dental records, for example. Sure, that's my live for Easter Sunday, my Easter Sunday service. I just thought about that now. I didn't plan this at all. I was just like, I just need to see if this isn't going to work, because I wasn't able to get on, and my phone wasn't letting me upload my videos. So I was like, let me see if I can even get on live, and it kept telling me to change my microphone and like my settings on my phone so that I could go live, or so that I could like record voiceover in the YouTube app and everything. But I haven't been able to do it. And I was like, why is it suddenly not letting me go live? Or why suddenly can't I just record my voiceover? We'll use the microphone and video features in YouTube. And it says, change your settings to allow us to have permission. And I didn't see that setting. So I guess I in the end, I had to go to ChatGPT and ask it to help me troubleshoot. And it was like, well, worst case scenario, I guess you could reboot your phone. I was like, how's that going to help? I even uninstalled YouTube and YouTube Studio and reinstalled them. And then nothing. It was still not showing up. Just the option to change the setting wasn't showing up on the screen. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm again stuck dead in the water as usual. It's like, that's what's going to say on my tombstone if I ever do, if I can afford one. If the military actually grants me military honors at my funeral, I should hopefully be entitled to some sort of headstone. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know if I want it. That's the thing. Like, why don't you go to the VA? Why don't you go to the VA? I went to the VA to get my DD-214, and look how that turned out. I couldn't get it. They ran me around in circles, and basically nobody even knew how to help me. How does the VA not know how to help veterans who are asking for their veterans records? I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense. The VA doesn't hold your records if you served within the last 25 years. When I was transitioning out of the Army, they said you have to go to if you ever need a copy of your DD-14, you lose it. I accidentally gave mine to like the sheriff's department when I sat the exam or whatever, when I was looking for a job, and you need the original member 4 copy. It has to be this page and the original page, and it can't be a copy, a photocopy or anything. And it has to be the OG. And so you're like, okay, fine, no big deal. I'm not gonna have that problem with undiagnosed ADHD, and then later on schizophrenia, after already having complex PTSD. My memory and my organizational and executive functioning skills are a little bit, slightly, well, let's just say disordered. So I do all those things, and I run through the rigmarole, and I jump through all the hoops, and then they still say, like, can't help you, don't know what to tell you. We don't have your records. And it's like, I know I served in the military. This is not a schizophrenic delusion. My mother shipped me off the basic herself. Like, she saw me graduate on the stage, and she was the only one there. She was the only one who came to my basic training graduation ceremony. And even that was a massive Hail Mary. I didn't even know she was even there until after the ceremony was over. I was told I could have a phone in basic training, so I didn't take my phone with me. And then they're like, oh, you can talk to your family for an hour every Sunday after chapel, or, during chapel or after chapel. I was like, okay. But then I'd lost my voice, and I couldn't even speak to anybody. Nobody could hear or understand me on the phone. I'd be borrowing other people's phones, and they'd be like, oh, annoyed because they have to share with their phone with me, their precious phone time, Sunday phone time, with this loser who's didn't even bother to bring a phone with her. What the hell's wrong with you? And it's like, well, because I was told I couldn't have one. So don't look at me like I'm stupid or crazy. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to inconvenience other people. I've never meant or ever intended to be an inconvenience or a burden to other people. But here I seem to continue to be one. And because I won't let go of it, because I continue to hold people's feet to the fire, and I call them out when they're in the wrong, and I say the truth, and I speak the truth, and I the facts of the situation, and even when I'm wrong, I can admit it and openly and honestly work to do better, and I do. There's not a mistake that I have made in my life that I haven't worked to try to ensure it didn't happen again. That's what integrity is. So it's Easter Sunday, and I'm thinking about my Easter basic training, experience. We were watching, they put us in this room, and in processing, and we're waiting to get these, and they put on Band of Brothers, and the girls are all crying because they're missing home. And I'm just like, what did you come to do this for then? Like, what are you here for then? What is it all for? You got to remember why you're doing this. Suck it up. Like, stop crying, you know? You chose this. I don't know what you're crying about it now for. No, but then I guess I could say the same thing to myself in the end, can't I? Because look at everything that the Army put me through. And I'm just here trying to get my bennies. They're like, don't worry about it. It's not entitlement. You're not asking for something you didn't earn. You earned it. It's our way of thanking you. Thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here, have a free, you know, hamburger. Cool. Thanks. Sure, I'll take free food. I appreciate that. Thank you. One less trip to the food bank. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Y'all have a good, happy Easter, and see you next time. I can't believe this worked. I'm so glad that this worked. And I will see you again. If you know what, if you're down for more Army stories, or you want to hear about what I went through in Australia, or yeah, Army, schizophrenia, ADHD, complex PTSD, you want to get into all that, we should join my live and like just dish on, you know, let's just like connect with a stranger kind of thing, you know, let's reach out. That's all this is about. It's just reaching out, and I'm calling out to the ether, hello, hello, and I just feel so invisible because no one's answering me back. No one sees me. I feel like I am the hallucination. I must have died. I must have died. And gone to purgatory. Because this is not acceptable. I shouldn't have to be struggling to access the systems that I was told I earned through my military service. And that's just the end of it. That's all I got. I'm just going to put a fine point on that and say, if you want to join me in my quest to hold people accountable and to maintain radical situational awareness, radical transparency, radical integrity. These things shouldn't be radical at all. You shouldn't need the word radical to describe just doing the right thing. Right? But anyway, if you want more, want to find out about what I'm up to trying to change this, yeah, I subscribe, you know, at Cat King here, you know, and follow, like, share, comment, even if it's just be like, you know what, fuck you. I'll take any engagement, because they said all engagement is still engagement. So if you don't like me, you feel free to tell me. But it won't change me. It won't change who I am. You can't ask me to be less than who I am. And I am a person of loyalty to the Constitution, duty to doing the right thing, duty to the Constitution, and my loyalty is to the Constitution, respect for each other and myself. That means honoring my values and beliefs. And I believe wholeheartedly in doing the right thing and holding myself and other people accountable when they misstep. When we fuck up, we should say, I fucked up, and here's what I'm gonna do to fix it. And understand that people aren't gonna trust you right away. You have to earn that trust back. I've been in that situation. I've been in that situation 2 or 3 times in my life where I really fucked up. I hurt somebody badly, and I had to earn trust back, and that was not easy, and it's never easy, and I still feel like I'm still doing that. You know what? And that's okay. I accept that consequence. That earning trust is an ongoing process. So if the government wants me to believe them and wants me to throw a $92 million military parade for somebody who wasn't ever in the military and doesn't know what sacrifice means, or selfless service, or personal courage, or even loyalty to the Constitution, you can't expect me to go along with that. I would never raise arms against my countrymen, not for any reason. You have to kill me first. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Happy Easter. See you next time. I'll see if I can figure out how to end this thing. Oh, look, I can start a poll. Start a Q&A. Oh, good to know. Okay, cool. Well, like I said, that's it for me. I don't know how to get out of here.